The warrior's ferocity knows no match in PvP. Hello and welcome to my Getting Started with the Warrior and PvP guide. In this guide we're going to be focusing on two main areas. The first one being a skills overview. Your actions are much different than they are in PvE, however there is definitely some connections and some similarities. And then your role in the party, as well as general tips and tricks. So with that, let's go ahead and do this thing. To start, let's go ahead and take a look at the warrior's combos. The warrior has two combos in PvP, and if you're really not aware of what a combo is, it's the literal grouping of three actions together in one button press. This makes it easy, mobile, and way more convenient on your hotbars. But let's first take a look at the Butcher's Block combo and break down the skills that way, and then we'll come back to Storm's Path right after. Now potency in PvP is calculated a little bit differently. You can kind of think of a potency attack like Heavy Swing as 750 HP worth of points. It's not going to be one for one like that, but it generally should give you an idea of what it's going to do. But this combo starts off with Heavy Swing, and it's followed by Skull Sunder. The thing about Skull Sunder here is not only does it do a little bit more damage, but it also increases your beast gauge by 10. The real cherry on top here is Butcher's Block. Getting to this skill should be your utmost priority. With the additional effect of the increased target's damage taken by 10% and having that last for 15 seconds, the warrior has a great ability to further weaken his opponent. Combine that with this combo also giving you 20 points on your beast gauge, it isn't anything to be overlooked. Now if we contrast that to the warrior's Storm's Path combo, you have Heavy Swing, which is your opener, and followed by Maim, which has the same potency as Heavy Swing, all to get you to Storm's Path. If you look at your total potency for the Storm's Path combo, it is much lower than your Butcher's Block combo, with the one exception being that you're going to get an additional 20 points to your beast gauge for Storm's Path. This giving this combo 30 points to your beast gauge. Doing combo 1 and then combo 2 effectively gets you 50 points towards your beast gauge, which is going to open up other abilities and options for you. Doing this rotation twice is going to fill your beast gauge up to max, and that is really where the warrior shines. So let's go ahead and take a look at the warrior's other abilities outside their combos, and then let's talk about some general tips. The real crown jewel in the warrior's arsenal is Inner Release. This nullifies stun, sleep, bind, heavy, slow, and silence plus knockback effects. It's got a 90-second recast, but the real reason you want this is it's going to halve the cost of your beast gauge actions in half for a total of 15 seconds. This means Fail Cleave, Onslaught, Upheaval, all of those abilities that rely on that now cost half. So much like your PvE counterpart, pairing this with a full beast gauge means you're going to dominate in PvP. It's highly important that if you're on the other end of a warrior, you don't give them ground. If you allow the warriors to survive for long, they're going to end up turning that back on top of you and wrecking. And no better example of this is than Fail Cleave. With a potency of 2000, it costs 50 of your beast gauge. But when you have a full beast gauge and Inner Release, that's 4 Fail Cleaves back to back to back. No one can survive that, and even the most competent of healers are going to look at that with dread. Some of the other abilities, like Onslaught, is both a stun as well as a rushing of the target for a 500 damage attack. This is huge for both crowd control, stun locking a target, and closing the gap. And speaking of closing the gap, we have the ability Tomahawk. This is your axe throwing ability, just like in PvE. This adds the additional effect of a 50% heavy to the target for 3 seconds. So not only can you close the gap, but you can prevent the retreat of targets. You couple this with the Dark Knight, who has also draw in effects, and you will dominate. Seeing a Dark Knight and warrior combo is very terrifying to see on the field of battle. One of the main reasons ignoring the tank is a mistake is Upheaval. With 100% life, you're going to get another 2000 potency attack that's on a 30-second cooldown. Upheaval will allow you to do a lot of damage, especially when paired or when trying to do a beast gauge point dump. If you find that you're going to end up having more Upheaval than you need, popping off 4 Fail Cleaves and then being able to combo back up another 10 points of your beast gauge while within the 15 seconds and dropping an Upheaval literally means that you've put out 10,000 potency worth of damage in a very short amount of time. But outside of pure damage, crowd control doesn't stop there with home gang. This is going to prevent you from being completely destroyed. It's going to prevent your HP from falling below 1%. It's going to lock you in place, but it's also going to bring your target to you and lock them in place as well. Pairing this with a marking macro so your party will know which target to focus in on can be the end of your target. Now, from a tanking perspective, the warrior is also a tank, and so they still have a defiance ability. This is going to reduce your damage output while increasing your HP pool. Now, if you use defiance, you're going to have Inner Beast be the replacement for Fail Cleave. This is going to have a healing effect. It's going to have a damage reducing effect on you, thus basically, ensuring your tankiness in the game. Games like Feast and anything where you're being targeted or focused in on, you might want to pop this just to help make it harder on your targets to take you down, and thus really emphasize that you are also a tank in this game. And finally, your Limit Break Aegis Boom, just like all other tanks out there, is going to increase your defense as well as your party's defense within a certain area range. You can only use this when your adrenaline bar is full up, but it is still very handy, especially in those tough and tight situations. So armed with the knowledge of those skills, it's important for you to manage that beast gauge effectively. In games like Frontlines or Feast, where there's plenty of targets to attack, your best bet and first priority is to fill your beast gauge and pair that with Inner Release. Now, this is always going to be the case. Your Inner Beast could be off a cooldown, or you could be being targeted. Your beast gauge will fall to 0 if you die. This brings about the risk and reward style of the job. If you're able to fill it to 100%, pairing it with Inner Beast is going to just decimate your targets. But that's not always the case. It could be off cooldown. You might not have a full gauge to use it, but it shouldn't be ignored or missed. Using abilities like Onslaught and Upheaval are also very important because they give you a lot of abilities that are off the cooldown. But I would recommend, in any game type, picking a target, calling your targets out, and focusing them down. Using Tomahawk if they're trying to run away, and Fail Cleave until they stop attacking you. Your Butcher's Block combo is going to be your bread and butter. Not only does it hit harder, but it's going to add that damage reduction effect. And Storm's Path is useful, especially if no one's targeting you, to build up your beast gauge so that you can unleash the beast, I guess for lack of a better term. It's also important that you don't overestimate your survivability as a tank. Even with a larger life pool and some defensive cooldowns, it still means that you can be taken out rather effectively if the opposing team is focusing in on you. So it's best if you can pair your Tomahawk and your home gang as much as possible within range of your healer. More than anything, within PvP, and this goes for all jobs, marking your target and focusing in on the correct target is going to help lead you to victory much easier than anything else, that any other tip that I can give you. Knowing how your skills work and knowing how your job plays is going to only really come with practice. Reading the tooltips and hearing me explain it to you, the best thing you can do is go get in some matches and get a feel for the job itself. Either Feast or Frontlines, this is going to work real well for you. Now, finally, if you find that you're not able to get a full beast gauge before targets starting to focus in on you, but you do have an advantage, make sure to go ahead and use it. Don't sit on your Inner Release in the hopes that you'll get 100% on your beast gauge. If you find that you're able to, great. However, if you find that, I can only get up to 50, you can go ahead and use it because you lose those beast points when you die, it could always be a constant battle. At the end of the day, with the 90-second recast on Inner Release, you should be able to get that off multiple times within a given match. So there's going to be more opportunities. And besides, it can help you turn the tide. Inner Release and Defiance can be able to, heal yourself and have better survivability with Inner Beast. So you have a lot of flexibility and you have a lot of versatility, especially when it comes to this job. Personally, and it's my opinion, I really love playing the warrior in PvP more than actually I enjoy in PvE. Now, I'm not hating on the job at all. I just want to let you guys know that I find that out of all three of the tanks, Warrior and Dark Knight are my favorite tanks to play in PvP. And that's just my personal opinion on the matter. But I just wanted to kind of share those thoughts with you guys because I really enjoyed this job. And if you enjoy anything, even if you might not even enjoy tanking in PvE, but I'd still encourage you to check it out here in this mode because it is different and it is special and it has a lot of strength and power to it as well. Hopefully this introduction's been helpful to Warrior and PvP, and that you've been able to get something out of it and be able to kind of take this and make it your own. But for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we hope to see you on our next. But until then, we hope you have a fantastic day, and take care. Hey everybody, Brian and Chuck here for Work to Game. Chuck wants to tell you that you should totally subscribe to the channel, and that you should totally hit that like button. Oh, and then we also got t-shirts on sale for some reason. That's a little bit mean, Chuck. I'm not crazy.